Welcome back to the ANSO Podcast. I'm your host, Manuel Calo, and today I have the honor of speaking with Major retired Ryan Orozco, a Marine Corps officer, veteran, and educator whose journey is nothing short of inspiring. Before we begin, the views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the host and guests. They do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Department of Defense, the U.S. Marine Corps, or the ANSO, or the Association of Naval Services Officer. From the humble beginnings in Mexico and Los Angeles to 21 years of service in the Marine Corps to now shaping the next generation through our JROTC, Ryan's story is a testament to resilience, leadership, and service beyond the uniform. Without further ado, I want to welcome Ryan to the ANSO Podcast. How you doing today, Ryan?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on, Manuel. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so again, on behalf of the ANSO community, Jose Montalbán, Presidente, we want to welcome into our podcast here today. So now let's talk about who is Ryan. So let's go back, for those audience that listening today, who is Ryan? You were born in Mexico and raised in Los Angeles by a single mother. Can you actually go back to that experience and then talk to us on who is Ryan?
Yeah. Well, when I was born in Mexico, in Guadalajara, and I came up to the U.S. when I was very young, within my first year, and raised in Los Angeles with my mother and my grandmother, and we lived there in a pretty decent neighborhood in southeastern LA. But even I still have some small memories, and we went back enough time. But I think the big thing that I remember being able to tell the differences, between Mexico and the United States, I really had the opportunity to appreciate what I had here in the United States. Not to say that Mexico doesn't have opportunities, that any of our countries where we come from don't have opportunities, but just the amount of opportunities, and you could always come from somewhere that doesn't, but you have to be able to appreciate it. So that's the biggest thing I took out of it. My mother always reminded me, whenever I was having a hard time, whenever I was failing, whenever I was having issues, it's hard love, but you know what? Could be worse in Mexico. Hey, it could be worse where you're from. Could be worse there. So don't try and look on the brighter side of things. Don't always take a negative attitude. Be proud of who you are and be thankful for what you have. I think that was that was the motivation that I had to just kind of, get over whatever challenge I had or whatever issue I was having. Mm-hmm. And it's not really hard to find it because it's inner motivation. Nobody has to convince you of that. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Now, talking about your military career, let's start from that and how you get to that. So you commissioned back as a second lieutenant in 2001. And you served over 21 years. So what was the first that drew you to the Marine Corps, and what motivated you to actually serve back then?
Okay. Well, back in high school, I actually earned a Navy ROTC scholarship. So I was thinking I was going to go into the Navy. I was going to go be a pilot. No idea what I want to do, but I always loved flying when I was a kid. And I thought, hey, why not? Let's go do that. I got I earned a scholarship to USC. Let's go for it. So, of course, the reality of doctors sets in, and as you can see, I don't have the eyesight for it. So that immediately disqualified me. So then my options were go be a ship driver or go be a ship driver. Mm-hmm. Of course, for my Navy friends, there's something not so bad about that, but maybe not quite for me. The other option for me was, why don't I was a physical guy. I loved a challenge. And so I thought, why don't I try doing spec war? So I thought during college, I'd train for buds and see if I could go that route. To do that, of course, you need a lot of training. You need to push yourself a little bit. So the only group I found around the college, around USC that did that was the Marine Corps, the Marine options. It was the enlisted Marines that were going through. I've been selected to get their college education and commissioned as second lieutenants, and then the Marine options who earned it. So I started training with them. And then after spending some time with them, I realized, you know what? I kind of like these guys. I like the culture. I love their chat. I love the way they push each other. I love the way that nothing's ever good enough. You have to be your best. And it was really that culture and sense of belonging that really drew me to the Marine Corps, and that I wanted to be a part of, and that I also want to provide for others.
Right.
So then after a while, my grades weren't that great. So, I had a lot of fun in college. So I had to kind of buckle down. And, after a couple of years, I was able to switch my option from Navy to Marine Corps.
Mhm.
And after a couple of years, I switched it, graduated from USC, attended OCS right after graduation, commissioned, and I was commissioned 2 months right before 9/11.
Mhm. Yeah, so it's a critical moment, right? So for our U.S. history, right? So 9/11. So before we get to that, so how was like the OCS for you? Like that experience now that you went into the Marine Corps, and then like how that shaped you in that moment? Like, can you speak of the audience in that moment?
Sure. OCS, my Marine officer instructor and my staff really prepared me well for it.
Mhm.
But it really was harder than anything I'd ever done before. And it really was a gut check. Did I really want it bad enough? Was I really willing to do what I needed to do? Not just what you were told to do. Did I do what I needed to do? And was I able to show that I was able to do what I needed for others to do? So that was kind of one, it was a test for the Marine Corps, but it was also kind of a gut check and a reality check for me of, okay, is this for you? And although I wanted it, I didn't really know how to express it. But I think that experience shaped me and kind of solidified that is something I wanted to do.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And then talking about 9/11, so what happened to in your career that, like when this actually happened and you were like actually serving as a second lieutenant? Can you speak about a little bit how you were like maybe activated, like when to actually, deployed, to those to remember back then?
Okay. Um, on September 11th, 847, we were all sitting at the basic school, 6 months of basic training for all
Hmm.
military Marine Corps officers prior to us going on to our follow-on specialty school. So we're all sitting there getting a land navigation class. And the school CO, the colonel, came in and just said, "Hey, everybody go back to your barracks. There's been an event. Somebody's crashed into the World Trade Center." Um, so we all got sent back, and we were all watching on TV. We're all on lockdown, etc. Base condition went up, and that's the first time when I didn't really think, it's like, okay, I'm going to serve. Okay, this will be interesting. But when we all got called back in a couple hours later, we all said, and even the CEO said, now it's real. You all are going to go defend this country. What you are training for, the class you just got, is going to be real. Everything else you're going to receive as an education, you're going to use in the next 6 months or to a year.
Wow. Oh, that's that's like a hard bullet to swallow, right there. So okay, now it's real, right? We're under attack, and then we have to actually go into war.
Yep.
Now that you actually got that experience, so what was next for Lieutenant Orozco back then? Okay, so what was your first duty station? How was that for
Yeah. So
you?
then, so then, of course, everybody wanted to get into the fight. Everybody wanted to be
Hmm.
involved.
Hmm.
I actually got sent to an artillery battalion in Hawaii. So hey, not a bad first duty station for a single guy. I'm happy. Artillery was actually my first choice before I was designated a logistician. So I got kind of the best of both worlds. So a lot of exercises, a lot of great learning, um, great experiences with young lieutenants, learning how to be an officer, learning from my enlisted Marines, my senior enlisted Marines, and just kind of getting good at my craft as well. And I did get very good at it. So after about 2 years, I went from being the maintenance management officer to the assistant S4 officer to being
Hmm.
the actual logistics officer as a first
Right.
lieutenant. So the opportunity came up after 2 years of being at 112, the artillery battalion, to go to an infantry battalion,
Hmm.
and they were deploying to Afghanistan. So I asked my XO, and then again the CO, if he would endorse me transferring over to Second Battalion, Third Marines, so that I could go deploy with them. I said, "You've done a good job. You've done what you're supposed to do. Of course, we can support that." Of course, we can support that. So I went over to 2-3, and within 6 months, I was in Afghanistan,
Mm. Wow. No, I
and that
mean
was
before.
probably the most rewarding and most challenging of all my deployments I did.
Wow. No, most definitely, because like that was when the actual war was happening, right? So back then, now, well, so you got selected into the logistics corps. I'm a logistician myself as by trade. Like I do logistics for the army.
Mhm.
I'm a captain right now, be soon to be major. So do you selected to be a logistician, or the actual Marine Corps gave you the logistics back in OCS?
Back at no at the basic school,
Yes. Okay.
you put through your preferences, and then based on how
Hmm.
you did in school, they gave you your MOS. Logistics was my fifth of 22 choices. I want to do logistics because I kind of want to be flexible. I like to be everywhere. I like to do things. I like to make an impact. I don't always have to be in front, but I always want to make an impact somewhere. And that was the field to do it. Move it, fix it,
Hmm.
find it. So I think if you had that pretty much incorporates the job of a logistician.
Right.
You can't do it. Yeah, you can't do you can't do much else without that.
Hmm.
So it was nice being uh, that part of a contributor to that team.
No, most definitely. Like you were like that a senior lead station or the planner for to provide the bulletin beans and the water, the rations, or whatever the case you were planning for them. As the S4 and you, that's what you mentioned. You were the S4 back then as a lieutenant. Now coming back to the Afghanistan, you said it was one of the most rewarding. Can you speak like a experience to the audience, that you remember you want to share with us, in that moment?
The most rewarding and most challenging, we were on um, what they did is they actually split all the logistics officers amongst the companies. So they gave a lieutenant and a staff NCO a small detachment, about 20 Marines, and attached them to each company because they were all dispersed. So I was attached to Echo Company 2-3. And we were in Assad. We were split between Asadabad and Nagalam in Kunar province, right off the Pak border. Um, so it was just a company of Marines reinforced to include me. And it was the austerity and the close knitness, uh, and exactly what we've been trained to do in the environment that we were trained to do it. So it was kind of like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, everything I learned to do that I'm doing it, and I loved it. Loved the people that we were interacting with. Of course, didn't like what we needed to do. I ran convoys back and forth
Hmm.
between the two camps.
Yeah.
Um, but I, I think it was rewarding, one, because it was so tough,
Hmm.
two, because we had to be so creative about how we got things done, and three, because we actually made a difference with local people.
Hmm.
And that was the closest I was out of all my deployments to the local populace.
Wow. No, that's great to hear, and thanks for sharing us with us those experiences back then, Ryan.
Mhm.
Now, you have held like many leadership positions during your Marine Corps. You were a company commander, you were a battalion XO or executive officer. Which of those experiences do you think shape your leadership the most, and why? What do you think?
Um, I think if you ask that question to to some folks, they'll say command.
Hmm.
Command is what a lot of people go for. A lot of people really enjoy the group of having their Marines.
Hmm.
I'm be a little different. Um, my most rewarding and the one that uh, shaped my leadership was being the battalion XO.
Hmm.
Uh, the reason why, I think we all know the CO commands battalion. It's his guidance, it's his show, it's his outward vision, and he's always looking upward and outwards. The XO runs the unit, takes the CO's guidance, and with all the policies and procedures and Marines and missions and tasks, and orchestrates all of that and runs the battalion. Um, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed being able to work with the subordinate commanders, with the staff officers, with senior enlisted Marines, the NCOs, with everybody in there, And really, because everybody has different interests, everybody has their piece of the pie, to make the team work, and the dream work. So trying to figure out how to get them to all understand each other's roles, but two, get proficient in their own roles so that we can meet the CO's guidance. It was most rewarding in that we grew because we all grew as a battalion, because we learned to understand each other. We learned how to compromise. We all learned about each other personally. So developing those relationships amongst each other made us kind of trust each other a little bit more, and that's kind of how we grew. If we grew personally and professionally, we could grow as the team, as a battalion. So that's why it was the most rewarding.
No, thank you again, Ryan. And again, so I'm a soon to be mayor. So I will have that question to me like in a couple of years from now when I get that put to that position. So we'll see. Because, yeah, I commanded a forward support company, and then
Mhm.
I'm just waiting for my KD time in a minute as soon as I get promoted. We'll
Mhm.
see. And then we can have this conversation back again uh, in
Oh,
a
happy to
couple of
have
years.
it.
Then you have a joint tour with the U.S. African Command that place you alongside with senior military and State Department leaders. For that so specific like joint tour, what lesson do you take away from that environment, working with this, State Department leaders and whatnot?
I think, bottom line, it was an education on teamwork at a much higher level, at a macro level. In the Marine Corps, we've got a tight knit culture. We have our ways of doing things. We have a similar way of talking, thinking, approaching challenges.
Hmm.
Both the joint environment with different services and even the interagency, such as Department of State, USAID, any of those other government agencies, they all have their own culture. They all have their own ways of doing it. They have their own ways of doing their own mission. But it really opened up my eyes into kind of why we have those agencies in the U.S. government, and that the Marine Corps is just part of the Department of Defense, and the Department of Defense is just one part of the United States government. I've never saw problem sets that big before. Um, the Marine Corps, we tend to think, we tend to operate in smaller spaces. So seeing more complex problems at that level really opened up my eyeballs. But it reminded me that we're all trying to achieve the same goal. Taught me to be more open about different viewpoints, just like you would with a small team. Everybody's got value. Everybody's got a purpose. Everybody's on the team for a reason. And they all brought something to the table. I think the other education was understanding what the interagency brought, what the Department of State brought, what USAID brought, what different components the Department of Defense brought. It's a whole of government approach for a reason. You can't always, it's a toolbox. You can't always use the hammer. You can't always use the screwdriver. You can't always use the putty knife. You can't always use the hacksaw. Every tool has a purpose. And sometimes to do a large project like construction, you need multiple tools, and you need to use the right tool at the right time. And I understood a little bit better that defense has a separate set of tools. Diplomacy has a better set of tools. Development has a different set of tools. But for a large, complex problem set and project, it's going to take a lot of different tools used at the right time, and sometimes used at the same time. All just for a greater good, all for a greater good. So that was absolutely eye-opening for me, and I think something that we can kind of all take in our own way of not confining ourselves to our own little space in the problem, in a challenge or a problem.
No, yeah, you most definitely like we need from one each other. Like once we do like a disc relationship in our big scope on this fight, like sometimes we just get narrow-minded on what we do. Like me as an army, right? So I just know about army, but then once we go to this joint tours or why not, that we have like other agencies, even like other branches. Like I'm talking about my Marine Corps, the Navy, or like the Air Force, like all combined, operations. Then we're gonna speak. It's like the army, right? Like we need to this fight, we need like all the branches, right? Like we need the Navy to actually help us with the vessels movements, and we need like the Air Force to actually provide that like our airlift capacity, and then like you said, like the diplomacy, and then the other agencies that come all together, and with a big scope, with strategic, from the strategic environment. Because often we just like get to the tactical and we're just like, okay, this is what I see as a tactical. But then as you're moving out in the ranks, then you can actually go and see the strategic portion of the entire operation. And I think that's what the big value of it.
Yeah, I think you could also you could apply that to a lot of different industries too. You could apply that to the education space,
Right.
the role of a teacher, the role of a staff member, the role of an admin, the role of a board of education. Apply that to industry in terms of commerce. All right, you need your operations, you need your logistics, you need your HR, you need all of those things.
Right.
Everybody's got understanding that really helps you understand your own place on the team or the corporation.
Yeah, no, most definitely. Now, let's switch focus a little bit from the Marine Corps to your education and professional growth. In this case, you earned your BA in psychology from USC and also earned a master's in international relations. How did those academic experiences influence your approach to leadership and decision making?
That's a good question. I think I've always been interested in how the human mind works, why people are how they are, and why people do things the way they do it. I think the education in psychology not only helped me satisfy my own curiosity about it, but it gave me more tools to understand how different people work. It helped me figure out different lenses or different ways to approach people to really figure out how, the genuine who they are and what makes them tick. And I think as we understand, if we define leadership as the ability for somebody to influence them to do what we want them to do, you kind of have to understand them first. And I think when you understand them and create that connection and that bond and eventually that trust, that elicits a little bit more willing followership, which, once you have that followership, guess what? They're going to do it. They're going to do what needs to be done and doing it willingly. Mm-hmm. So I think for international relations, that's something I picked up. I was considering an assignment at the Department of State once I retired, a role in the Department of State. I really liked the diplomatic role. Not only when I was working for a couple general officers, but when I got to work for an ambassador. He was the deputy to the commander for civil military education at U.S. Africa Command. So again, learning that diplomacy piece. So I kind of took the initiative to, if I'm going to be in that space and that's somewhere I want to be, I probably need to know a little bit about how it works. So again, it's kind of that teamwork in that space at a macro level. So I went to got my master's degree in international relations, thinking I was going to go that way. Didn't end up working that way, as you can see now. I'm a teacher.
Yeah, we're gonna get that in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, what happened was, my wife decided to tell me, a few months before I retired, hey, guess what? We're gonna have number 4. What? I guess okay, that's gonna change some things. So, and we want you to be a little. That job is going to take you around and take you out a lot. So we had a long discussion, and we chose whatever my next career would be one that has me around, has me being there for the family first and foremost. Gotcha. So that's how I ended up not taking a job with the State Department, and I'm getting into teaching.
Yeah. So any piece of advice to young Marines, that leaders that they're seeking for higher education right now and while they're working, that you can give them?
I think what I've told my Marines and what I tell my students is, what do you like to do? I mean, the Marine Corps is one piece of your life. You may have wanted to really be a Marine, but what do you really enjoy doing? What is it that you enjoy doing that you could actually see yourself making a living off of? And whatever that is, whether it's teaching, whether it's business, whether it's a trade, whether it's whatever, start learning about it now. Start learning about it, understand what it takes to do that and what the skill set that's really required. And that's what the education for. An education is just a tool. Like we're going back to the toolbox. It's one of those tools in the toolbox to help you do your job.
Mm-hmm.
You can be a carpenter and be given a toolbox full of carpentry tools, but have no idea how to use them. That's what that education is. So I would absolutely encourage you to go learn how to use those tools, and especially with the options and the benefits that you have as a member of the armed services. Go take advantage of it, because I'm telling you, trying to figure out how to put my 4 kids through college. That's something you absolutely need to take care of for yourself and set yourself up for success.
Yeah, most definitely take advantage. And while you're serving, it is very doable. I was doing it myself. I was doing my job, and I was doing like online. Now that there's a lot of colleges that do online, like grad schools and whatnot, that you can take advantage. You have the tuition assistant that we get, like a $4,000 a year. You have like the GI Bill. That there's many, options that we can actually pursue as a active duty military. So I always encourage, like, there's programs, like, I don't know if the Marine Corps has them, but like the Army paid my full tuition college, and they sent me to do my grad school for a full year. I was a full civilian, and I did my supply chain management as a master's. So there's many opportunities right there, that's for sure. You take advantage of it.
Yes. Don't be scared.
No, don't be scared. Take advantage of what you can. I mean, if you're serving right now, most definitely. Now, you just like hint a little bit of what was your transition. Now, you retired at 2022, and then you became like a senior Marine instructor at Wilby High School.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we talk about the family was one of the inspirations, right, and why. But can you actually, why inspire you to continue serving in this way, in this capacity?
Well, I think I always enjoyed, as both a leader and advisor in all my different roles in the Marine Corps, I always enjoyed watching the light bulb go on for somebody, whether I'm explaining what needs to get done or trying to educate somebody, whether it was a Marine or a senior leader or whatever, whether they're older or younger. I just enjoyed watching them go, oh, I get it. It's something that I hate. I don't know a better way to put it, but it is something that was gratification, because it made me feel valued. That's something I had to say, or something I did mattered to somebody else. At least for a minute, whether they used it or not, great. But at least it kind of opened up their brains and opened up their minds and their hearts to something else that they wouldn't have. And I kind of figure it like, you can kind of teach, like I kind of teach like a dad. You say something to your kids, you say it a few times, and then all of a sudden the light bulb goes, oh, I see why you said that. It really, I think I wanted to do that because I wanted to see other kids get that opportunity. I wanted to see, I treat it with like my own kids, turning the light bulb in my own kids and shape them into good, kind, strong, smart, well-rounded kids. Not everybody has that. Not everybody's able to have that. There are a lot of JROTC programs that are in Title I schools. They're in lower socioeconomic areas. Some not, but there are some in high minority populations. But I think being able to get high school kids, little light bulbs come on, expose them to something that either I had, my kids had, that they may not have otherwise had the opportunity. That's the what I like doing, what makes me feel good at the end of the day, and that I did something positive, that I actually made a difference. I don't think the other thing I think is that, so my kids are going to be growing up a certain way, and they're going to be in their own world in 10 to 20 years. So what can I do to shape the future for my kids? What I can do to shape the future for my kids is to help other kids become the kind of people that my kids want to be around, the kind of kids that are going to grow up into productive adults, kind adults, people that the society needs so that society doesn't decline.
No, most definitely. And then while I mean you went to the JROTC, you almost doubled the JROTC enrollment in 3 years. Can you speak about some strategies that help you to rebuild the grow that program specifically help you out?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, for me, it's a team effort. I have a great Marine instructor, first sergeant retired Jorge Montes. He's also got a lot in common with me, and he's got a lot in common with the kids too. He's immigrated from Cuba. Graduated high school. Didn't know a lick of English when I got here, but still graduated, learned enough, got into banking for a year, and then enlisted in the Marine Corps. Had a successful career as a Marine all the way up to senior enlisted ranks, and chose to retire as a first sergeant. But we see eye to eye as to what the kids both want and they need. We wanted to build on a foundation of culture, kind of like the Marine Corps, and a positive environment. So we wanted to build it on respect, trust, integrity, and teamwork. Those are kind of the 4 tenets of what we wanted. We wanted to we build it through. We want to build that. We realize what really gets somebody to believe in you is trust. If you can trust us, if you can trust any adult, which some of these kids don't have, you'll get them. They'll listen to you. They'll do what you say. You give it to them consistency. You hold them accountable. You praise them when they do something good. You tell them they didn't do good, help them show them ways to fix it, but you still, they have to live with their actions. Mm-hmm. And you challenge them. The kids love competitions. They love challenges. They love proving that they can do something. It's also a leadership lab. We run it like a leadership lab. All right. In this space, in these 4 walls, you can try anything you want. You can make a mistake in here. It's not a zero defect mentality. You have to take your lump and be accountable for your mistake, but it's not a zero defect mentality. You can recover from it. And then we got to rely on each other for our success, because everybody brings something to the table. And the sooner we realize that, the quicker we enjoy success. I think once we created that culture, and we created that in the first year, I didn't really have to tell teachers. I didn't have to tell staff. I didn't have to do anything. The kids sold it. And we started with, the first year we had 74 students. Second, third, and fourth year grew. You know why? Because the word got out.
Right.
Street cred. So we built it on that foundation. We created that positive culture, that positive environment. Kids sold it. They wanted to be there. You just show them that that's there, and they'll come. So that's how we did.
Yeah, most definitely. Like obviously, like they're gonna speak amongst themselves, like they like the program, and like, hey, you should join like the JROTC, and then the instructors are awesome, and the leadership skills, and this is what they can offer, and then guess what? And then you go to college, and then go to ROTC and continue growing. Have you like commission of any of the JROTC? Have you seen them like actually commission and getting into the ranks? Many of them.
No, we haven't had anybody yet that has gone the officer route or earned a college scholarship. We've had a few that have graduated and enlisted and are now serving in different services. Okay. We've had them enlist in all 4 services. Mm-hmm. And kind of like back to the culture thing, is like you're in the business of service and defense. So whatever culture you choose to do that in, Army, Navy, Air Force, whatever, just choose the culture and the environment that works for you and go do it there. Great. If the Marine Corps is your culture, awesome. If the Army is your culture, go serve there. Mm-hmm. Neither one is better. Either one, they're all different, and they serve the same goal.
Yeah, and they're in their own capacity. They serve their own capacity. They're all different.
Except for the Marine Corps.
And then what difference have you noticed between leading Marines and mentoring high school students?
I think mentoring high school students. So I went straight from retirement, retired July 31st, and August 26th, I was in the classroom. So it was a pretty quick transition. Mm-hmm. I think the biggest difference is their level of maturity and the level of knowledge that they have. Even for an 18-year-old private or PFC, or 17-year-old private or PFC coming in, they still know and they still act a different way. And especially with boot camp, forming their minds into a specific mindset and being able to do that. High school kids and teenagers don't know what they know, and they don't know themselves very well. So understanding that they haven't been taught some of the basics, responsibility, integrity, how to regulate themselves. Those are all some things that Marines have either learned it through their exposure and going through high school, or they were taught it in boot camp, or they were taught it, by their NCOs or staff NCOs as they went up in the ranks. But that's just something that teenagers don't get. So we actually had to take a step back and kind of start from the beginning with them. Again, build the foundation the right way. Build the foundation on a more personal level, so that they could actually understand lessons on leadership, citizenship, character development, all those kind of things. So that's the big difference. It's just not age, but what comes with age. What comes with age is maturity and knowledge. Maturity.
No, most definitely. That there's some ways you need to speak to the high schools versus like speaking to the Marine. There's multiple like levels of maturity levels, like you mentioned, right? So from like 16 years old to like 18, and then so forth, like 20, 22, like you can see like the level of maturity. And then when they put the uniform, also they get indoctrinated to the Marine Corps, right? So it's different how you actually speak with them. Then now that, like you mentioned before in the interview, like the Marine Corps is like meant to actually all speak the same language, the same way you actually act. Doesn't matter like what type of job you are, like you can actually speak the same lingo across the entire Corps. Now, Ryan, thank you for being here with us today. Again, on behalf of Jose Montalban, el presidente de ANSO, the ANSO community, thank you for being here today. It's been an amazing, how, you were from like being in Los Angeles, from Mexico, Los Angeles, now to where you're at right now. Family is something that it keep you grounded, right? So you've been married for 17 years, you have 4 children. How family grounded you throughout the military career and your transition to teaching? And I know you've been talking about them constantly.
Family is very important to me, and I think family is one of those things that especially Hispanics truly value. It's just part of who we are as a culture and as a group. When I was growing up, it was just me, my mom, and my grandma. That's it. So there's some things that I didn't get when I was a kid. Never had a dad. So there's a lot of dad things that I didn't learn. Different experiences, different things that just that were not available because of the small family I had. So I just want to be able to, in the way I interact now, is because I want not only my kids, but other individuals or young people that I meet to have that, because I do think it's important. I think there's kind of a complementary relationship between being a Marine, a father, and a teacher. Well, now I go back to that. Let me go back to being a Marine, a husband, and a father, because I'll come back to being a teacher in a minute. Being a Marine helped me be a better husband, and vice versa. Both as a husband and wife, you got to be a team. You have to see each other's viewpoints, and you have to be able to compromise on things for a greater good. Same thing with being a team member with a Marine. You got to know your roles. You got to figure out where each other works, and you both do your best to make it happen. Being a father helped me be a better Marine, because it helped me, and vice versa. It helped me realize that being a father, I have 4 kids, all 4 different kids, all different demeanors and whatever. So it really kind of opened up my eyes of, every Marine's different too. And everybody's got a different leadership approach. Everybody's got a different way of being talked to. Everybody's got a different way of explaining the same dang thing. So I got to explain the same concept 4 different ways. You got to do the same thing as a Marine if you're really going to get some buy-in and really get that connection to inspire them to do something. So that's how they kind of complement each other. You can't have a one size fits all. And that's kind of what being a father taught me about being a Marine. And the same thing about vice versa, I think. Um, I would not be successful today if it wasn't for my wife. My wife, Kate, we met in Hawaii. We dated on and off through all four of my deployments, through Afghanistan and my three deployments to Iraq. Finally married at the end of my fourth deployment. Her love, support, and constant criticism, positive, constant criticism. It's one of those things that kind of keep you in check. She's not afraid to tell me, hey, what she thinks in a good way. Like, hey, did you consider that? No, that's not the best thing for what we're trying to do. It's not attacking the person, it's attacking the problem. And her approach on that really made me successful for who I am. My kids keep me grounded because they're the motivation for me doing what I do. I do it because I do what I do because I want them to have every opportunity that they can to become good members of society and good people. I want to do that because I do my job because I want to make the world a little bit better for them. I want them to have other people that are like them, that are good people that contribute to society. So that's how family has helped ground me, not only through the Marine Corps, but through transition and then in my current role in my second career.
No, thank you, Ryan, again for sharing that with us. Again, family is one of the things we appreciate the most, like it says, a Latino. And then most definitely sometimes we have to like wait some of like the work. There's not such a thing as a balance. Sometimes we have like to put some weight to one side to another side, especially when you actually are in the service. But I say when you are with the family, you have to put like 100% of that balance to the family, and then continue thriving and be successful. Yeah, I appreciate it, Ryan, for those words. And then as we just wrapping up like this conversation with you, Ryan, I'm gonna open to you to give any like piece of advice to the next generation of Latino leaders in the sea service, and what will it be?
I think we have three really good traits that I think I'd talk about that make us as Hispanics strong. We have a strong sense of pride in who we are and what we do. I think we have an amazing work ethic. We try our best and try and take on any challenge and succeed. And I think we have a really strong commitment to our families or our culture or whatever tribe we're a part of. We do our best. We work our hardest, no matter the obstacle. We have a strong bond and service to our families. What I tell you is embrace your pride of you as a person. Do do your best at whatever you're tasked with doing or you set your mind to. And embrace the team that you're on, the family that you're a part of. If you can do those three things, I think you can look yourself in the mirror and be happy with yourself. Be happy with yourself, who you are, and what you do. People will follow genuine leaders. People will follow a genuine person. And those three traits are part of being a genuine person. So be that leader that you would follow. Be that genuine leader that you would follow. I think I'll not set a piece of advice, but a question for you I'll leave you is, would you follow yourself?
There's that. Well, Ryan, again, thank you for having this conversation with us here at the ANSO Podcast. Again, on behalf of El Presidente Jose Montalban and the ANSO community, we want to thank you again to take your time and give some, who you are, some piece of advice for those like leaders who are listening to here. And again, thank you, Ryan.
Oh, I'm just happy to do it. I enjoyed doing it, and I hope it hope it does some good. Always happy to help.
Yeah. Well, as we closing out, thank you, Mayor Orozco. Your highlights, the Mayor Orozco journey highlights the essence of leadership, resilience, and education, and serving that extend beyond the uniform. From leading Marine across the globe to mentoring students in the classroom, he continues to make an impact. Ryan, we thank you for sharing your story with us in the ANSO podcast, and to our listeners, Thank you for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and follow ANSO on LinkedIn and YouTube for more inspiring conversations with leaders who are shaping the future. With that, this is Manuel Calo. We'll see you in the next episode.